Catholic leaders slamming the mainstream media, claiming that they have missed the boat by largely ignoring lawsuits filed by dozens of Catholic institutions, names you know, like Notre Dame, challenging the mandate for employee contraception coverage.
This whole lawsuit isn't about contraception. It's about religious freedom. Embedded in the mandate is a radically new definition of what constitutes a religious community, what constitutes religious ministry. Brand new, never before applied at the federal level. That's what we're arguing about.
Jim Pinkerton is contributing editor and writer for the American Conservative magazine. Ellen Ratner is bureau chief for Talk Radio News Service and a Fox News contributor. Ellen, I'm going to start with you. Do you think the Archbishop has it right there when he says that this suit is not about contraception, it's about religious liberty?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that contraception is something that should be offered to every woman.
But you're not Catholic, I'm guessing.
No, I am definitely not Catholic. But, you know, I think that there is no reason on earth it shouldn't be offered to everybody. You don't have to take it. If it's against your conscience, you don't have to take it. It's like, you know, I'm offered meat. I'm a vegetarian. I don't have to eat it.
All right, but then who's supposed to pay for this contraception that you want offered to everybody?
Well, I think that health insurance can pay for it.
Okay, all right, Jim, I guess we get to the nuts and bolts of the argument right there, but what do you think of the Archbishop's argument?
Well, I think it's an interesting argument, and I think Alan has an interesting counter-argument. What's most interesting, though, is that we're discussing it on Fox, whereas most of the rest of the media are completely ignoring it. The Media Research Center calculated that the primetime broadcasters still get the vast bulk of the news audience in America, devoted a grand total between the three networks of 19 seconds. That's one report on CBS, 19 seconds. And so what we're seeing here is the biggest media deliberate ignoring of a story since the story about Trayvon Martin turned and we discovered that George Zimmerman actually had gotten beaten up, whereupon the media completely blanked out on Trayvon Martin. They've been blanking out all along on the Catholic story because to them, to the mainstream media that is, it's just not news when Catholics do anything conservative or pro-life. They just don't care.
Well, I understand that the media is saying that the big media isn't covering it, but the fact is, you know, talk radio has covered it, Fox News covered it, and a lot of people consume their media on the internet, particularly younger people. So maybe the vast majority of people who turn into the evening news weren't getting the story, but from the talk radio perspective, from the internet perspective, from Fox News perspective, it was here.
Well, but here's the contrast, Ellen, and I'm sure you've seen this written as well. ABC didn't cover this Catholic lawsuit at all, but found time for Katie Couric to do a story about how she met Queen Elizabeth and she wore a lovely peach coat. CBS did 19 seconds on the Catholic lawsuit, but also did a much longer report about a Cincinnati Reds fan who caught two home run balls in one game. And NBC had no time for the story about the lawsuit over religious freedom, but had time to do a story about a new computer app that counts calories on the iPhone.
Listen, there's a reason.
Isn't it all about misplaced priorities?
Yes, and there's a reason if you still put Princess Di on the cover of a magazine, it sells magazines. I mean, no one ever said that was the right thing to do. What is disturbing to me, though, is not just the mainstream media not necessarily covering this, although, as I said, talk radio and internet did, but also that I looked at some of the legal magazines, there was very little analysis about this case, or these cases, because there's more than one, and what the chances are, where it was going to happen, etc. I mean, there was absolutely media out there as well.
There are roughly 60 million Catholics in this country, Jim. Clearly they don't all vote in lockstep with church teachings, but just given the size of the number of people who, you know, have a connection to this lawsuit, doesn't it deserve coverage just on that basis?
Oh, I think so, but of course the media, even within the domain of the Catholic Church, they still found room for some news. They found the news about, there's a sex abuse case, an old one in Philadelphia. They found plenty of time for that one. And they found plenty of time for the news about the allegations about the Pope's butler in Rome. So there's still plenty of interest in the Catholic Church. Again, a lot of it negative. A lot of the mainstream media can't wait to find a bad story about the Catholic Church. But when it comes to anything that Catholics actually believe and practice and do and think is really important, I'm with Mike Huckabee, who said that the media ignoring this story about, you know, contraception and right to life and so on is the equivalent of the media ignoring the civil rights movement in the 60s, which of course they did not ignore. That's just the double standard right there, then and now.
Well, but you know, I'm going to hold out not only hope but interest as these cases wend their ways through the court system. I will bet you there is more media coverage.
We'll see.
Just a bet.
Ellen Ratner, Jim Pinkerton, thanks for hashing it out with us.